Greetings everyone and welcome to a brand new edition of GameTales, the show where we talk about a great many things for about an hour or so, and I am again joined by Steven from the channel, Steven Nonsense, back from Spain. How was your trip?
Whoa, welcome. Welcome to our viewers. Hello, Unicom. Very nice to see you again on the live internet. Spain is really awesome. I went to the southern part of Spain in a town/city called Granada, and it looked a lot around like Fallout New Vegas. That's why anyone who's been following me on social media already knows this. But I got heavily inspired to start replaying Fallout New Vegas, which is something I'm gonna start doing relatively soon because I have some giant plans for the game on my channel for next year. But we are not here to talk about my trip or about your hiatus. We're here to talk about Blizzcon.
But before that, we have to talk about 1, 2, or 3 other incidents before BlizzCon.
We do because since we don't do these things weekly anymore, we have quite the backlog of dumb shit that we need to cover.
You could say we've been hardly newsing in the past couple of weeks.
Yes, it's been a very busy past month, let's say. In terms of gaming news, it's been busy.
For example, Paradox had its own convention recently, the Paradox Convention, ParadoxCon in Berlin. Wonderful place to go, meet a lot of new people. Also, they announced some new games, and one of them was announced with a on social media. They tweeted, yes, we do have phones, and they announced the mobile version of Stellaris.
Okay, I was gonna say, was it Diablo Immortal?
No. They leaned into the joke kind of the wrong way around, and they sort of tumbled backwards. Because as it turns out, the Stellaris mobile game, Stellaris Conquest, I think, or Stellaris something, I forgot the full name of it. Doesn't matter.
Because it's not there anymore. Okay.
That's made by a developer in China, which is okay, fine, no problem. It's actually a reskin of one of their previous games. It's a developer that's made only one game in the past, which is the base version of what Stellaris on mobile will be.
Dubiousness.
Yeah, and even more dubiousness. They launched the game in beta and sort of early access on the Android and Play Store and on the Apple, whatchamacallit. And they pulled it within a couple of hours because, as it turns out, it was using stolen assets from Halo 4.
Yes. Now that... Again, like the Paradox wasn't working on it. They contracted it, but they were still in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
So someone didn't check, and also someone thought the people they contracted with are on the up and up, which apparently they're not.
And the thing is, the screenshot that shows that it was using stolen assets is from their press kit.
Yes, they had no idea what the fuck they were doing, I guess.
Which is kind of weird, because you can see UNSC printed on the tanks, and there's a warthog from Halo there. And
on the other hand, there's very little overlap between 4X Grand Strategy players and Halo players.
Yeah, but in the sci-fi sphere, there's a lot of it.
That is the issue. That is an issue right there. Considering some of the other things that have happened, this is just a faux pas.
Yeah.
It's like, at least these guys, they were on the ball instantly. So they're like, we fucked up, and we're pulling it off because we fucked up.
There was also the thing about the possibility of the phrase Deus Vult being banned from the Crusader Kings game. Turns out it's not actually banned. Somebody just took it the wrong way in an interview. So there was a bit of drama there as well.
How was this interview being taken in Latin?
I'm not sure.
Because otherwise, I don't see how you would interpret that the wrong way, unless it's medieval Europe.
Well, the phrase currently is being used by absolutely insane people. I've seen them on Twitter. They are scarily insane, like off their rocker. These people should not be let out of their homes. It's being used by them to sort of propagate an idea that the end times are coming. We shall march through the streets with the heads of our enemies on spikes. That kind of people. It's
okay,
and they freely post on Twitter. It's no issue.
Well,
yeah,
it's Twitter.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
it'll be boring without them, I guess.
No, I mean, it would be civil without them. Let's just go with that one. It would be weird. That's why I would love to. That's why I would love for at least some of us to go back to the time of forums and message boards, like
oh god, yes,
properly curated forums and message boards.
Yeah,
and that's something that I would like to do on my Discord channel at a certain point. Just have people that are interested in what we do, and because I remember having that type of experience with like a very niche message board where everyone was like totally interested in the subject matter, and then we had tangential things, and that's social media isn't that. It's not that.
And if it's not properly handled, somebody can come in and totally overtake the board with some stupid thing and just drag it down into an insane, spiraling down cacophony of madness.
And hot garbage fire, yes,
yeah,
hot garbage fire. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I see where you're going. So now I understand why. I was just thinking like, who would? But yeah, if people use weird shit, fuck it, Twitter.
This happened to me when I was at Arena TV. I wasn't really doing proper moderation of the forums. Things got out of hand, and whoa, there were a lot of. We got hacked a couple of times. Things happened. It wasn't pretty. Wasn't pretty at all.
No.
Speaking of,
I do keep an iron hand on these things. So, on my generally in my communities, it's one of those. Membership is it's a privilege, not a right. That's my general way of doing things on the internet.
Speaking of madness, have you seen Bethesda recently?
Ooh boy, yes. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff. Fallout first. Man, I remember us talking before Fallout 76 was released, and we were both. I mean, you were. I was cautiously optimistic because the things we were hearing and seeing weren't shit. I was proven wrong. It was my fault. Honestly, it was my fault for being cautiously optimistic about a Bethesda product.
You also are a fan of Fallout 4, so that colored your view of Fallout 76.
I do like Fallout 4. Yes, I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I do enjoy playing it. So there's that. But it didn't take long to see what flaming dumpster fire Fallout 76 is from all perspectives, from all points of view. And so in the meanwhile, they've had their issues with the servers being shit and the stash not being enough and people exploiting stuff. And then there was the bag scandal because they sent nylon bags instead of canvas bags. And then more recently, the power armor helmet sold through I don't know which store develops a type of mold that it's bad. Generally, mold is bad. And on top of all of this, like PR nightmare after PR nightmare after PR nightmare, they now come out Fallout First, which is a yearly subscription system that would allegedly allow you to play on private worlds, which is something they said would be available at a certain point in the game. And people assumed it was included in the price. Well, fuck you, it's not.
Fuck you, it's Bethesda.
Exactly. That's how it works. And now the reports I've been reading is that there is basically Fallout First turned the game into this weird class warfare sort of thing, because the people who haven't played for Fallout First are hunting the Fallout First players because the worlds aren't private apparently.
Well, thing is, they are private unless there's somebody in your friends list. If that somebody's there, they have access to your world always. Also, because you're a member of the Fallout First subscription, you get some extra content, like a haphazardly, I would say, imported version of the Ranger armor from Fallout New Vegas, which you can display upon your person and easily identify yourself as being somebody that subscribes to it. And that makes you an easy target. Well, you don't actually have that much to lose if you're attacked, because the PvP only works both ways if you engage back. Otherwise, you're kind of immortal. But you will be harassed.
Yes. And that's wow. That's just I think it's something like we've grown up with these companies, and well, not with the companies, because fuck the companies. We've grown up with their products, because as far as they're concerned, the games are products. As far as we're concerned, they are art, they are entertainment, they are a hobby, and for you and me, kind of more than all of those three put together.
They're a comfort and a job.
On the other hand, because this applies to Blizzard or Active Blizzard as well, developing version of these companies created games that were coming from a point of passion. We played the games, the companies became bigger and bigger, and at a certain point they stopped being the things that the companies that created those games for us, and just lost sight of everything because they need to make money for shareholders. So much like in the case with Active Blizzard, we'll talk about that soon as well. It's coming up. Bethesda has been on a downward spiral in terms of the products, the games that they produce, and I'm not very optimistic about neither the next Elder Scrolls game nor that space game they're gonna make, because Fallout 76 is any sort of marker.
Now, to be fair, 76 was made by sort of the B team that's not working on any of those main games. So it's like the secondary team, I guess.
Yeah, but okay, I'm with you on that. But the PR team is the same.
Yeah.
And the marketing team is also the same. So
poor Pete Hines. Poor Pete.
Those decisions were made by someone.
Yeah.
And the same someone is going to make the decisions in regards to those other titles.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do not know if that people will still buy their shit.
Oh, they will. They totally will. I mean, people are buying Fallout First subscription. That's his doll. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Bit of an issue. Yeah, sorry, I'm having a bit of an issue.
Audio's cutting out.
I don't know. I think it's a Discord issue, to be honest.
Probably.
Because I'm in the green and you're sometimes stopping.
Sometimes I'm not hearing your audio. I can see you moving, but your audio is cutting out. Discord is sabotaging us.
Discord might be a bit wonky for whatever
I
reason.
think it's because we moved the region from Russia to Europe. I don't like that.
It's possible. It's possible. The Vlad is not a big fan of Europe, as we know. So
or maybe he's a Bethesda fan.
I don't know. We need to track the money and see who has any stakes. If there's any Russian oligarchs who have stakes in Bethesda.
Oh, probably. Oh, I have no doubt there are. But as I was saying, the sign that those future games will have the same chance to succeed and be bought is that people have bought the subscription to Fallout First.
Yes, that just boggles the mind. Like I'm a member of a Facebook group about games and stuff, and the admin there, he honestly to goodness loves Fallout 76. Like he loves it for what it is, looter shooter thingamajig. And I'm like, to each his own. That's totally fine, but it's always interesting when when all of the comments, whenever he posts something positive about Fallout 76, are negative. So, but I imagine some people might love it. I don't know. I mean, I imagine some people bought it just to make content. Like, if you or me would have been making way more money out of our channels, we would have definitely, maybe not Fallout First, but we'd have bought Fallout 76 and a bunch of other stuff just to make content out of it. But I don't think that's the majority, man.
No.
And it just boggles the mind. Why that? Why? Yeah, humanity kind of fucking sucks.
Yeah, especially if you try to sort of mention things about certain areas of the world while you're being interviewed in a Hearthstone tournament.
Yes. That was the quickest reaction to something that happened in the community that has ever been seen from Blizzard, I think. And yeah, lo and behold, it's most surely down to money.
Oh yeah, there was an even stronger reaction from the Chinese distributor of Hearthstone in China, which is NetEase. I think they publish more than just Hearthstone. I think they handle most of Blizzard's games in China. And they were angry. Like they said, they were angry about what happened.
Yeah, and everything is down to a very purposefully and ambiguous formulation in the contracts that the players had to sign. Basically saying that, well, if you say something we don't like, we have the right to make you not say it.
Yeah, you can't become a person of not interested. It's a person of basically you can't become a controversial person.
Yeah, you can't bring the any sort of controversy related to the game or Blizzard or something like that. Yeah, which sure. But that's why that thing is there, so that they can just stomp down on stuff. And a stomping they went, and an incensed we got. It's kind of rare nowadays that the internet would get incensed about the right thing.
Yeah.
In this case, the internet did get pissed off about the right thing. The fact that Blizzard chose Active Blizzard, which is it a multinational or is it just? I think
it's Canadian American. It has studios in China, in Singapore, I think.
Ooh, that's Singapore is in China.
It even has studios in Romania. There is an Activision studio in Romania.
Okay, so let's say it's a multinational, but it's generally its main campus, let's say the Blizzard campus, is in the US.
Yeah,
And
that has a statue with all sort of words around, like saying every voice matters.
yeah, and all of that inclusiveness, whatnot, thingamajiggy. And turns out, if the yuan's shiny enough, corporations have no principles or ethics or moral compass, because they're just meant to make money, buddy.
Yeah, and technically speaking, China is. They need it for Diablo Immortal, which will make billions upon billions in China alone.
Nope. Most likely.
Yep.
So that was, like I said, I think that was the quickest reaction from Blizzard to a community event possible. Then after a couple of days, I think a day or two of massive internet backlash, they issued a message, because it wasn't an apology or anything. They issued a message saying that, oh well, maybe we were too quick on the draw, and so we're gonna give the guy his money back.
Yeah, it took them about a week to do that.
It was a week. Sorry,
Yeah.
Things compress. We're gonna give the guy his money back, and we're gonna shorten his suspension to
his
half a year.
and that of the presenters of the stream.
Yeah, the casters.
Yeah, they didn't have anything to do that because the producer, he's the one that arranged that.
Mm-hmm.
The producer put them on. Like, they didn't know what was going on.
Even if they knew, doesn't matter. It's like, who gives a no? It's like, and again, it was. It's a difficult sort of. I mean, the discussion in itself isn't difficult. As a corporation and what it said in their contract, they were allowed, like, legally to do what they did. But on the other hand, we're also allowed equally legally to call them up on it and send them all kinds of very nicely worded messages and stop buying their shit.
It was a sort of moment of unity for the entire world, because in the US, that has a horrible political system, the two sides came together and co-signed a letter to Blizzard saying, knock it off.
That was. I mean, I follow the US political system, and it was mostly a more of a PR stunt sort of thing.
Yeah, but still,
even that's not something you see every day either, like, at all, especially not in the past 10, 15 years.
Also, it did cause them to lose money, not just because people may stop buying their stuff, but Mitsubishi dropped them.
Yes, and that's nice. It was nice to see that there is an actual financial interest who was like, fuck you guys, I'm not giving you our money anymore. And Mitsubishi was the main sponsor of one of their major events in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously they can find someone else, but Mitsubishi did the principled thing, which is, again, is not something you see coming from any US-based corporation in general, or corporations around the world. But over here in the EOLD European Union, there's a lot more checks and balances when it comes to corporations, and our leaders tend to be more what should I call them? Fine happy. They're more fine happy when it comes to corporations. For instance, I think with the European Union was the first and maybe only the first, I think, to actually fine Microsoft for monopoly type practices.
Well, I think the US started
that might have been
with the antitrust thing, where they interrogated Bill Gates in the room for 9 hours.
US, but sorry, you just blah blah blah.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that the US, I think, had the first action in that regard to Microsoft, because they locked Bill Gates for 8 or 9 hours in a room and just badgered him until they got him to turn into a philanthropist.
Yeah, I got that. But yeah, and on the other hand, that wasn't the only suspension Blizzard did, because some days after that, they suspended I believe it was a college team, or again a Hearthstone team, that showed their support for the Hong Kong protesters.
Mm-hmm.
Protesters. They're not Protestants. They're protesters.
You're starting to sound a bit like our former, what's her name, Prime Minister. Well, current, still Prime Minister.
Yeah, don't. You're just no. The ducks come from the trucks always and forever.
Yeah. Ducks, trucks.
Yes. So and it was funny because that team said, well, we lack consistency, and we're glad we're glad to be part of this.
So it still took about a week to get them banned, because they showed their support like on the same day that the suspension of Blizzcon was announced, and it took them a week to get banned.
Mm. And in all of this time, we were waiting for BlizzCon to start, because this, I'm pretty sure, this was not even the darkest of nightmares of PR people could even come close to the type of shit that they were building up with to BlizzCon, which is supposed to be, which like up until this past month, BlizzCon 2019 was supposed to be the one where they basically washed their hands of the whole Diablo Immortal 2018 shtick, and they're supposed to announce Diablo 4, and we're gonna love Blizzard again,
and instead they made an international incident.
Yes, and then they sort of doubled down on the international incident, and nothing. We didn't hear nothing for a while, up until BlizzCon started yesterday. But before we get into proper BlizzCon, what I want to ask you, and our viewers as well, because I see this as I'm looking at things from the opposite point of view. So this guy, Blitzchung, said 8 words that were in service of protesters fighting to maintain their freedom, which is something that many of us can or cannot relate, depending on how close historically that fight for freedom is to them. For you and me, it's part of our lives. But I'm thinking, and Blizzard did this really knee-jerk move, and it was fucking stupid and sucks, because we agree with what Blizzchung said. But I'm wondering, what if it wasn't Blizzchung and it was some MAGA motherfucker who would have spouted some Trumpian bullshit? And I wonder how we would have reacted in that circumstance.
That's a good point.
For us being principled, it would mean that we like the idea of people being able to freely express themselves. This comes with the caveat that you kind of have to listen to shit you don't agree with. And I'm thinking, what would have been our reaction if Blizzard had done the same thing, but to someone who would have exposed a point of view that we didn't agree with.
I think it may boil down to if that viewpoint comes from a place of hatred or prejudice against somebody. Because the MAGA types, that's where a lot of their beliefs come from,
Yes,
especially
being
with immigration.
racist bigots. Yes, we know that.
If that was the case, yeah, I would have been for Blizzard doing the same thing as they did to Blitzchung.
Yeah, I know, but you see how
Yeah.
difficult a discussion. At least this is what's been going on in my head, because I'm like, yeah, they did it, and it fucking sucks. And Hong Kong is fighting. They're kind of fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point in the future, I don't know which year is that, to 2040 or 2030 something, they will fall under complete Chinese control.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese government just wanted to, hasten shit up a bit, because of course. So on the overall, they're fighting a losing battle, but they just don't want that sort of control now, because someone is not respecting the contract. So yeah, that's the more philosophical sort of backdrop to the thing that I've been thinking about. And now on to BlizzCon. Thankfully it started with the current president of Blizzard making a very short sort of I don't know what to call it.
Apology, sort of.
Well, he did actually say, I'm sorry and I take responsibility, which is something that you literally don't see from any sort of person or entity with any sort of power, because under US rules and laws, if you say you're sorry, then people can sue you.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, anyway. But he sort of like very subtly mentions the protests outside of BlizzCon, which is something that I don't think has ever happened before. Like, I don't think anyone's protested BlizzCon, not even the Westboro Baptist Church, which, to be honest, I would have expected them to do that. But with, like, I don't know, God hates WoW or something.
Diablo makes you worship Satan.
Yes. And he mentioned that, and he said that that's the thing, he said that they acted too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Which
it's the same thing he said in the letter.
In the letter, yeah, which is an odd thing to say. I mean, we were gonna do something anyway. That's kind of the undercurrent of the, like, we acted too quickly. We were gonna act anyway, but we acted too quickly and went overboard. He did say he's sorry, but on the other hand, I don't give a shit what he says. I need to see what they do, because
currently,
yeah, go.
Currently, Blitzchung is still banned for 6 months. So are the casters.
Exactly, because people can say whatever they want, whatever they think the public or the audience wants to hear, and companies and corporations can send out press releases with a very nice copy in them, saying a lot of things that don't amount to shit. And in this case, it's definitely a show not tell sort of circumstance. It's nice that he said that thing, but I need to see some action. Also, if they were to say something that would kind of change my stance, would start changing my stance about it, would be to literally say, oh no, we're definitely in support of the freedom of speech of our community, and equal rights for every, and human rights, basically, because China has a lack of basic human rights.
It has incidents, a lot of them.
Yeah. So if there's something they can say that would make me change my fuck Active Blizzard stance right now, would be saying something like that. If there's something that would definitely change it, is they need to either reduce his suspension to something that is nothing, like a month. Keep it to a month, because technically speaking, he is in breach of contract. So we can't just have. I mean, we live in societies and nations of laws. We need to respect the laws, otherwise anarchy. And the bad type of anarchy, not the weird good type of anarchy that some people are kind of looking forward to. I don't know.
Technically, anarchy, the ideal one that sort of was the idea, is without leaders. Laws, yes, no leaders, nobody above you that exists solely to maintain the power structure that keeps them up.
Yeah, there is always the idealized versions of anything have never worked.
Yeah.
In the real life, because people, we aren't ideal. We're garbage.
Yeah. And that is how we got communism, tovarysh.
And well,
and capitalism now.
It was it's not like communism is like the worst that's ever happened to humanity. It wasn't great, especially for the modern.
Oh God, no.
But it's been considerably worse shit. And on the other hand, let's talk about, unless you have something else to add about this, let's talk about what they actually announced in their entry, in their beginning.
One thing I like to add is that if they could have shown their support for human rights and free speech by making a token donation to an organization like an ONG that supports this, actually works towards improving human rights, or tries to stop human rights abuse.
Yeah, not even that. I mean that. Yeah, you're right. That's like the corporate go-to move. Like
that's the bare minimum. Even YouTubers do that shit, and they're garbage, most of them.
Well, and then they have to retract the donation because their
he did that.
Their followers aren't okay with charity.
I don't know. I honestly don't like that guy enough to care.
No, nor do I. But I'm just saying, it was internet YouTube news, so it just popped up. Yeah. So Active Blizzard stopped being the Blizzard we loved and cared for their products. I don't know, roundabout Diablo 3's auction house.
Yeah, around there. Oh, by the way, remember the guy that made StarCraft 2 and Hearthstone?
He's not there anymore.
No, hasn't been there for months.
Yeah.
The guy that made Heroes of the Storm isn't there either. Like 3 people left in the last couple of months because they were working on another StarCraft shooter, which got canceled again.
Yeah, I heard about that. I'm like, wow, how? So they canceled Nova when it was like almost done. It wasn't completely done, but they had the engine, they had the assets, they had
demos of it. They had playable demos at several events, and Ghost just went poof.
So, and granted, that was part of the old Blizzard, which they would have something that was almost ready to release, and then
if it wasn't good enough,
for whatever reason, they decided to scrap it. Sure. But ever since their merger or acquiry by Activision, it's been a steady. At first, it wasn't that noticeable, but ever since the auction house with Diablo 3 and the wild success that was, we've been seeing this also with the I don't want to say necessarily decreased quality of World of Warcraft expansions, because I stopped playing circa before Cataclysm. I stopped playing that, but I've just been following what's been going on. Oh, they did have like one spot of sunlight this year is the release of World of Warcraft Classic.
Yep.
To be honest, that kind of made me think about it. I was still not gonna pay money to have a second job or an online job, but I was tempted. To be honest, and then this happened, and I was also tempted about Warcraft 3 Reforged.
which is now in
But-
beta.
Yes, but not anymore. Because yeah, that's the best thing we can do. Like that's our decision to just not give them our money anymore.
Yep.
Also, as members of the EU, another thing we can do besides that, or until just before that, is we are entitled to ask Blizzard or any other company for all of the data that they have been gathering about us via the GDPR law.
Mm.
That annoying stuff that pops up and asks you.
Yeah.
And we are entitled, not allowed, entitled to ask for that, and they are obliged to give us that data within 30 days of our request.
Or face penalties.
Yes, otherwise they open themselves to being penalized by the European Union, which has been, again, like as I was saying, it has been known to be very fine happy.
Yeah. It is kind of an abusable legislation. I've seen it.
It is.
I've seen talks about it where people have demonstrated how you can use it to get somebody else's information just by providing close enough accurate details, and then hoping that the company that's being targeted is going to panic and just give you the info. And it happens.
Of course, but again, just like sometimes the internet gets up in arms about the right thing, this is one of those situations in which you can. It is your right as a citizen of the European Union, and if you have a Battle.net account, don't cancel it just yet. Send the GDPR data request, because they have to send it to you. Just as for shits and giggles.
Oh, those poor employees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not gonna be Bobby Kotick or Jay Brackellan that's gonna be doing the request. It's gonna be some low-level employee that's gonna get swamped with work and realize, my God, I'm sleeping in my car already in the parking lot.
Yeah, I know, but again, you can't really have it both ways.
I know it sucks with corporations because much of what you can do to actually get back at them, you're doing to their employees, which are already they're kind of being mistreated by the corporation itself.
And I totally agree with you, but the corporation is still doing the shit it's doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there is, and if enough people don't stop giving them that money, then that employee will eventually get fired anyway. So it's bad either way. The only situation in which it's just as shitty is if we as customers or audience don't do shit, in which case the employee is still treated badly by the corporation, and the corporation continues to grow. That's not something I'm cool with. On a very personal level, that's not something I'm cool with. So yeah. Anywho, I think we need to call this one the one where we get political.
Yeah.
This is that's
gone political, gone viral.
I don't know about viral, but political definitely. We're already in the restricted section because of mentioning China so many times.
And words.
So we're cool.
Funny thing, actually, last year I made a video about is China making video games worse, and there was an Easter egg in that video. I put Winnie the Pooh in our logo.
Yep.
I don't think a lot of people noticed. I didn't see anything.
I don't think a lot of people knew about the Winnie the Pooh thing up until this BlizzCon thing. And I don't think a lot of people know it now either, actually. Just a quick by in case you're watching and you're not aware of this. Winnie the Pooh is banned in China. Why is Winnie the Pooh banned in China? Because the current president of the Chinese Communist Committee, because that's how they run, it's a committee, at some time in the past, someone made some jokes and likened him to Winnie the Pooh. There were some memes, so yeah, he banned Winnie the Pooh in all of China. It not only banned Winnie the Pooh, internet searches, you cannot find anything related to Winnie the Pooh in China. So that's why you'll see some protesters dressed as Winnie the Pooh, because we know, motherfucker. Also, just again, let's go deeper into it. Allow me to get deeper into politics. There's a couple of companies that actually showed some backbone in all of this weird stuff as responses to what Blizzard did. One of them being Epic, which again, now interestingly enough, Epic has way more Chinese money in it than Blizzard does.
Technically, I don't think they do, because when Tencent bought in, they didn't have Fortnite out. Now they have a lot of money going to China because of it.
It's also possible. Anyway, so Epic said, they can say what it is, but Epic said like that bullshit with our people. We support freedom of speech and whatnot.
It was a bit opportunistic because of them.
Of course it was. Yeah, like it's PR stunts. Let's be honest. The same thing from the U.S. Senate. Riot, Ubisoft, like surprisingly, fucking shit. You play. Must always online DRM.
Ubisoft, who last year was modifying the global version of Rainbow Six Siege to remove things that would be upsetting to the Chinese regulators, and then stopped because of protests, now says, okay, free speech.
Okay, which that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Paradox. The Paradox, you have to, I mean, they fucked up recently, but you have to give it to them because they are so committed to historical accuracy that they were like, we're not rewriting history, motherfuckers. Like, that's what the map looked like.
Tibet is a thing.
It's a thing. So that was very surprising to see. And more recently, unrelated to our realm, South Park.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Like, what they did was amazing.
So basically, the South Park guys have been dunking on China this entire season. They've been dunking on China constantly because before this Blizzard shit happened, there was a bit of a row in the NBA with some, I don't know, it's sports, it's not my thing.
An executive of
one of the
company's
teams, one of the teams said something about, tweeted the supporting the protests, and all shit went down. And then South Park started making fun of them.
And they made an episode where what's his name goes to China to sell weed.
Randy goes to China to sell weed, not knowing that weed is totally extraordinarily illegal in China. And again, if you want, and that's where he meets Winnie the Pooh
and Mickey
Mouse, and again, I did not know this. In order to appease the well, not necessarily to appease, to appeal to the Chinese audience, in Iron Man 3...
Oh, I know. They added a doctor. There's scenes with him in the international version that are there, but in China, he has whole scenes just with him.
And in the Chinese version of Iron Man 3, he goes to China to get his arc reactor removed.
Yeah.
And his printer...
So, that's sort of based on a thing we talked about a while ago where Crocodile Dundee 3, the movie, which is a great movie, explains exactly how you make a movie pandering to a local audience. And Iron Man 3 is the exact definition of that. You get a big name star, big name movie, like Iron Man 3, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and then add a secondary character from that place, from China. Marry them together and bam, you get Iron Man 3, or the Rock movie that is so Chinese. I think that was actually written by the propaganda ministry of the Chinese government.
Which one?
The one with where he's in a building and it's falling apart, and at the end he has a Chinese sword to fight the villain.
Oh, okay. No, I did not. I know what you're talking about, but I wasn't aware of. Yeah, it's just The Rock
jumping
Die
on
Hard.
buildings. Yeah.
Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that. Granted, like Trey Parker and Matt Stone don't give a shit about
No, their apology was
Chinese money.
magnificent.
Don't give a shit about Chinese money, and they haven't ever really given a shit about anything or anyone.
Now, one of the reasons they don't care is that they Comedy Central got, or at least I don't know exactly who owns the rights to South Park, if it's them or just Comedy Central.
No, it's them.
Okay, yeah, they got $500 million to stream on HBO Max.
Yeah, and they've also been renewed for another 3 years or something for like $270-something million. No, I think I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm not sure if they have the. I don't think they have the rights to South Park per se, but they have like half of the revenue from digital distribution.
That is still a lot of money.
Because they had that written in back in fucking whenever South Park started in 1990. I don't know how long ago it was, 8, 9, something like that. And they saw this internet thing growing, and they're like, you just put that in the contract. Like, I'm pretty sure no one was like, yeah, sure, take 50% of the whatever the fuck this is. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, so yeah, like a bit of a counterweight to what we've what we've been talking about up until now. So, time to jump into the brass tacks of it.
Okay.
And did BlizzCon 2019's announcements wash their hands of Diablo Immortal?
Well, I like to say that they did a better job of presenting Diablo Immortal this time to the people, in the sense that they never showed it on the main stage. They never mentioned it once on the main stage at all. Not even the slightest. Also, they didn't have a QA session this year.
I'm sorry if I'm very silent. It means you are staggery.
No.
And you have to just keep on keeping on.
Okay, I mentioned that they didn't mention Diablo Immortal at all on the main stage, and they didn't have a QA session. So
yes, which was something that, like the lack of a Q&A, I think is something a lot of us expected.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us also expected them to stream it with a delay.
Mm-hmm. In case somebody got in there that wasn't supposed.
I don't know.
If you look at the recordings, there's a lot of big burly guys with earpieces, like in the back of the crowd. You can see cameras like moving behind them. Like, I didn't notice them in previous years as much, I would say. I think they were there just in case somebody decides to make a joke or wear a mask or throw something on stage.
Possible. Throwing a Hong Kong flag would be something. But yes, so that was to be expected. But I did not. I know they announced a new Hearthstone expansion, but
it sort of adds kind of an auto chess thing to it that's really popular now. It's the new battle royale, the new MOBA, the new zombie game, the new thing.
Yeah, I'm aware of it existing, but I haven't looked into it. Overwatch 2 was announced.
Yeah, it looks like an expansion for Overwatch that they are selling for full price, probably.
It did. I mean, like, I don't know if they're gonna do anything, but it didn't look. The cinematic didn't look like anything new.
No, it looks like an expansion, like they updated it a bit.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you a little bit of cool trivia about that cinematic, though. It was written by one of the guys who wrote Megas XLR.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And in case you don't know who or what Megas XLR is, check out my channel and my top 5 giant robots.
It explains why there's a giant robot there that they're fighting.
It does,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Right? Yeah, one of the people who wrote it is the guy who is one of the people who wrote Megas XLR. Also, the power up, yeah, it's very Megas. When I saw that, I'm like, I saw that. Yeah, I've only played Overwatch for like 2 hours when it was released, and I know this is not my type of game, so I can't really say anything. Cinematics are cool, but most Blizzard cinematics are cool. That doesn't say a lot.
The game itself it began as an evolution of Team Fortress 2, and I welcomed it because I wanted Team Fortress 2 to do more, and this did more. And after they did that, they just stopped, sort of like Valve stopped caring about Team Fortress 2 and just made hats. They stopped that as well, and every event they've had in game was just a really lazy and completely pointless thing where you just fight some bots that basically do nothing. That's it. But this one's going to add for realsies PvE I mean, and you're going to be able to stack abilities between heroes and do awesome stuff. Also now Reinhardt has a beard.
Yay.
That's $40 right there.
I don't know, you tended to play some Overwatch at a certain point, so you're my avatar of Overwatch knowledge, because that's not me. If you want to know some shit about Apex, I can maybe fill you in. That's what I play in the shooty genre. Okay, so we're gonna finish off with Diablo 4. But until then, I need to vent a little bit about WoW Shadowland. Now, those few viewers and watchers of ours who have been following us for a long time know that I used to play WoW quite hardcoreingly, like many years ago. And one of the main reasons I played WoW was that I really liked the lore. I really enjoyed the lore. I really got into it. And even though I stopped playing prior to Cataclysm, I would still keep tabs on the lore. I would still check out the cinematics. I would read up on what's been going on, that sort of stuff. So Sylvanas turning evil, turning here, let's say. It was kind of foreseeable. It wasn't a cool thing to do. It was kind of foreseeable, but I was like, fine. Like they have constantly upped the stakes so much that it would be very difficult to do anything. They have to bring it back on Azeroth somehow. So I was like, fine. First it was Garrosh, then anyway. But now, after the end of this past expansion, which had a stunning cinematic. I mean, the cinematic for the end of this one was just full of feels and everything, and great stuff. We now see what happens to Sylvanas after she disapparates. I'm going to say disapparates because that effect always reminds me of the Harry Potter movie. Anyway. So she shows up at Icecrown Fortress, was it called? I think it was Icecrown Fortress. And the undead just let her, the Scourge undead, the Scourge because they're the undead, just let her go through the entire fortress, which I have to say, being in a group of 10 players, not that easy back when I did it in EU all the time. We just didn't stroll into it. She walks up to the Frozen Throne. She fights the current Lich King and defeats him. Now, several problems with that. Like, I'm going to give it to her that this isn't Arthas she's fighting. Fine. This guy maybe not as powerful. Let's say his his base stats not as good as Arthas's. If you put the crown on him, he gets really good, but not Arthas Lich King level. He's a lesser Lich King level. Fine. She takes the crown. Okay. She doesn't then wear the crown. Oh, no. What she does instead is she rips the crown in twain with her bare hands. So, not only did she basically solo the Lich King, fine, it's a lesser Lich King, but then she destroys with her bare hands such a powerful, dark, magical artifact that basically no one's ever even thought about doing that because you couldn't do it.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't played World of Warcraft enough to know. I'm basing this on Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2 knowledge. The helmet, that was Ner'zhul's prison. That's where his soul is. That's where the demons from the Outer Worlds, that's where they trap him, right? So, what does... is that still valid?
I can't really say because I haven't looked up. I haven't looked into it. Also, they tend to retcon stuff quite a bit. The idea is that with Frostmourne being destroyed, the armor, the helmet was the Lich King, and you wouldn't really expect that powerful of an artifact to be broken into by Sylvanas or anyone or any one character or person, which means they have basically buffed her so insanely much. They increased her threat so much that even in terms of World of Warcraft, it's kind of immersion breaking, because it's something that I don't and again, it's always weird to bring up this point when talking about fantasy like comics or video games, but there are limits to the things, to my, at least to my suspension of disbelief, and this just seems like way over the top. This reminds me of anime series, older anime series at least, and I know most people most likely watched Dragon Ball Z. I didn't. I watched Yu Yu Hakusho, and exactly, dude, it's gonna. And whenever one of the sagas was coming to a close, they needed to bring a villain in, a threat so far above what our protagonist could do that you would have to think, how the fuck are they gonna do this? I think they're dead. Obviously, they're not dead. They're gonna learn some new moves. Goku's gonna make an even bigger Kamehameha wave, and he's gonna go super ultra duper mega Saiyan shit. That's how things happen. But this is what that reminded me of. Like, they've been buffing her up to this insane level that now she can just rip incredibly powerful magical artifacts into with her bare hands. I mean, how am I supposed to then accept the idea that 10 people, 10 characters, 10 in-game characters are gonna ever be able to defeat her? Because she can, like, going by the rules they set up, she can just like shoot some arrows and just crumple your armor and you're fucked. Technically speaking.
Yeah.
You don't need. So, and I know there's conventions that we accept as gamers, like the raid bosses, they do this shit, they always do the same shit and that sort of stuff. But from a storytelling standpoint, it just irked me. Like, the idea itself of breaking the veil between the living and the dead, I'm totally down with that. I mean, again, all throughout the expansions, we've been fighting greater and greater threats from the burning legion to then like one of the primordial dragons to the Sargeras, to then going back in time and doing same shit all over again, and then they bringing it back in. They had to do something new, and we're going to the upside down, literally. from what we saw in the video, which is it's a fine idea. It's a great other realm to explore and for them to make stuff and reuse assets, because that's how that shit works, with slight modifications here or there. But the way of getting there, the way they got there, I don't know. That was some lazy ass writing. I mean, yeah, no,
I think it was on the same level as having Deckard Cain be killed by a flunky.
You're still on that?
Yeah. Never letting go of it.
I don't know, man. Maybe he comes back. You don't know.
And maybe it's his. Well, we're going to talk about it, but there's a grave scene in the gameplay. I think the grave may belong to him.
It's possible. Although he should have had like a cool mausoleum or some shit. I don't know how the Horadrim are buried, so I don't know if they have like particular burial. I would think like an ancient order of scholars.
I remember they burned him, and then I don't know what they did with the ashes.
They snorted it.
Yeah,
that's how you do. So that was just me about WoW. I apologize, but after that ending, that super feely ending, then we get fan fiction, basically. Talking about fan fiction, Diablo IV time.
Diablo 4, or as we may know it soon, Path of Exile 2.
Yes, Path of Diablo of Exile, Path of Diablo. Ooh, Path of Diablo. That sounds like a good expansion, dog.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. But interestingly enough, we're not fighting Diablo, or at least it's not apparent that we're fighting Diablo.
No, we're fighting Lilith.
Who is she's the literal mother of Sanctuary.
Yep. And by the way, the daddy of Sanctuary is Inarius, and as far as I know, he's still locked up somewhere in hell, eternally tortured.
He's an angel or an archangel, so he can take it. Or I don't think he's an angel. I think he is a primordial sort of.
No, he used to be an angel, and then he wasn't, because he kind of said, "Screw you guys, I'm doing her, and we're gonna do stuff together, and screw you."
Yeah, we're gonna. That has to come up, obviously. And again, there's nothing. It's Blizzard, so they're probably gonna retcon some shit. We can't really go.
They've already retconned Inarius once, because initially he was an angel that thought to himself, "Okay, I'm gonna be my own boss. I'm gonna make my own army. I'm gonna invade hell by myself. I'm gonna be the big bad, and I'm gonna rule the world." And he got his ass handed to him by Mephisto. And he got imprisoned by Mephisto. I think he had his eyelids removed and was chained and forever burned in the hells. And all his followers were turned into the big fat overlords in Diablo 1. That's their origin story of those creatures. And then it was retconned so that he and Lilith did the nasty and gave birth to the world and did the Nephilim and, mortals in general. And then he got imprisoned in hell for other reasons. They had a falling out, sort of, because he wanted to be worshipped by the Nephilim as a god. I'm not exactly sure how he ended up in hell tortured, but he had a falling out with Lilith, so they're not necessarily on the best of terms.
Of course they're not. It's kind of hard to be on the best of terms with like a primordial demon lady, saying. Or a primordial demon in general. I don't want to discriminate.
Yeah.
Demons are demons, regardless of gender. The cinematic. Let's talk about the cinematic, because that's the first thing I saw actually. It's a 9-minute long cinematic. It's pretty cool. It doesn't look as good as I was expecting it to look.
Yeah, something felt off about it.
Something felt not cutting edge.
I think it may be because they're focusing a lot on characters that they will never use in the game. Like the first 3 guys that show up, they're never going to show up. But
yeah, they're just randos.
Yeah, Lilith and that other guy, those look great because they are going to be reused.
Lilith and the Hellraiser dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like the Hellraiser dude a bit,
Mhm.
or I don't know what I've seen, or he's like a cross between the Hellraiser and the dumb ass aliens in Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit of a something there. But yeah, you're right about that. No, Lilith looks extraordinary. The way in which they summon her is also, it's cool. It's dark as fuck and gory.
Well, you also mentioned earlier when we were talking the beginning first seconds of the cinematic. They're right
Yes,
out of Diablo 1.
yeah, the beginning first seconds of the cinematic are I don't know if they're shot for shot, but they're definitely from inspired by Diablo 1 because you
They're
see
sort of like a compost of several scenes from Diablo 1, like put in one single image with the window
you
flapping
can't
around.
do that now because you have a large resolution. It was cool. I don't know. I don't understand exactly when this is supposed to happen.
Me
I
neither.
imagine it's happening post Diablo 3
Oh, it has to.
because otherwise we should have heard of Lilith being summoned.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that there is clues in that line that says they came by three. There's three prime evils,
Mm-hmm.
so there's an obvious link there.
Also, three Primevals, three heroes in Diablo 1,
Three
three Diablo
classes here,
games. Mm-hmm.
three classes in Diablo 4 apparently, or starter classes.
There's gonna be 5 or 6. They just announced 3 right now.
Okay. But for the time being, it's they come by 3. It was interesting, but it looked, I don't know, it might be what you said, that they just didn't put like an extra, I don't know, 6 months in developing that. It looks good, but it didn't look World of Warcraft and cinematic good.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't look that good. It looked fun, it looked interesting, but it didn't look that good. It did give me a bit of it gave me a more of an adventure-ish sort of action movie that I like, Brendan Fraser with the Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gave me that sort of vibe. There's a particular plane in the Magic the Gathering universe called Zendikar, which it kind of looked like that. But then we go to there is some gameplay footage out there as well, and it does look a fuck ton like Path of Exile. And
Yeah.
I haven't even played Path of Exile. I only played with you guys once on stream. It looks like a very polished, obviously upgraded version of that, but it looks like that. It looks a lot like that.
Yeah, Path of
it is-
Exile.
Yeah,
Go on.
you go because I've been talking a lot.
So Path of Exile was essentially Diablo 2 with Final Fantasy VII's Materia system and Final Fantasy XI's insane sphere of skills put in there. Graphically, it was meant to be like Diablo 2, but with a more realistic lighting system that makes things shine. Like skin shines, water shines, blood shines. It had that thing where things would, react to light, not just glow when there's a magic thing around, which was superb in Diablo 2. And it looked like it should look if they tried to make it a bit more realistic in terms of proportions and how light interacts with things. And inevitably, anything that goes by the same approach will look exactly like that.
Yes, is.
I actually think that when they made Diablo 3 look a bit more cartoony, and with it not necessarily using PBR, physically based rendering and correct lighting, they actually chose the right direction because it looked not like Path of Exile. It didn't even look like what's the other one? Like Torchlight, which is a lot more comically.
It's a lot more stylized. Yeah, Torchlight is a lot more stylized. It works great for Torchlight, and I agree with you. D3 also was a stylized aesthetic, and I also agree with you that going for this more realistic approach makes it look way too much like Path of Exile,
Yeah.
which I'm pretty sure is a comparison everyone will make. On the other hand, they have gone to the considerably darker approach to the world. You can see that. I think they also mentioned that.
Yeah, that's something that they're changing quite drastically from Diablo 3, because Diablo 3 was a bit more. It was criticized when it came out because it looked a bit too much like World of Warcraft. It was a bit too kid friendly.
It had way more saturated colors. It had way more colors.
The thing is, you can do it now with this version of Diablo 2 as it is now, but run properly on Windows 98 or something like Windows XP, you can turn up the contrast, the saturation on Diablo 2 and make it look like really colorful.
Oh yeah, you can, but we're just talking about like the basic. Of course you can, but the default setting isn't that.
Yeah,
just like in this one.
You can also make it look almost black and white.
Yeah, we can always change that thing, but it always matters how. Sorry about. I was gonna sneeze. I might sneeze a bit later. Sorry about it. It also matters how things are designed.
Yeah.
With what type of color palette they're designed.
And the shapes as well. There was an example of the gargoyles from Diablo 3. They just look like little blocky bits with wings. You can barely see any detail in them. You can barely see any of the gothic stylings that you would see in some of Diablo 2's, like the fountains spouted fire or something like that. It didn't look like super duper great. And there were also a lot of photoshops of how Diablo 3 should look like, and they made it all dark and edgy and stuff. And that's not something that the engine could do a lot back then, because I'm not sure exactly which version of pixel shader they were using. I don't think they could do make color that is that well handled with the lighting that they had, because they didn't use realistic lighting. There's a sort of a flat pass, everything's baked in and kept that way. And they made a game that was more stylized than it was real. And that could be seen also in the effects. They're all very, very spectacular, all effects over the place, sparkles. And the blood was an effect. It wasn't the visceral blood the tons of viscera that you would see in Path of Exile, for example.
Mm-hmm. But the game does look very gloomy. It does look, at least as far as we've seen, it does look gloomy and dark, and a bit of a callback to Diablo 1/2. Definitely not the amount of colors in 3. And I don't know if we've talked. I think we talked about this during our Diablo 1 video. I'm not sure, but I definitely mentioned it in my video about the top 5 original game worlds. Sanctuary was always most interesting in Diablo 1.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because of the things we did not know, but because of the things we did know. Because of we were seeing this medieval age level human society that somehow managed to evolve up to that part at being surrounded by all manner of weird shit and magic, and that was very interesting. That was it. It was a very dark fantasy sort of setting, because you got the idea that humans weren't really the top of the food chain. I mean, normally they would be, but if the moon was full, they're not top of the food chain. That sort of stuff. So maybe Diablo 4 looks like it might be maybe a return to that sort of stuff. The animations look really nice and fluid. I think it looks a bit clusterfucky.
Yeah, there was a second gameplay video that leaked. I'm not sure if I managed to show it to you. It actually shows it being played at BlizzCon in multiplayer. The game is essentially an MMO. It's open world. You can do quests and.
It is open world, yeah, but I think it's gonna have I think it has a solo mode as well.
I hope it does, because what I saw was around 10 players ganging up on a single boss.
Yeah, I saw that as well. But after that, the player starts a new game and it's solo, just on their own. Apparently, you'll be able to chain abilities, like change the abilities and have them interact with themselves with each other. I think that's gonna be a thing that you can do. I'm not exactly sure, but it kind of looked like that, especially for the druid, because he would cast some spells and then turn into a bear, and it would influence the spells in some sort of way. Um, if it weren't for, I mean, it was kind of cool, but I'm not sold on it, and I'm definitely not gonna give them any money because of what we've been talking up until this time. But even sans that, I would still be like, no, I'm not. I'm very not convinced.
I'm very skeptical of Diablo 4 because they haven't really dug deep into the actual mechanics of it, and
Yes.
even if they do, I have no guarantees that they won't back out again. Because when they announced Diablo 3, Diablo 3 was going to have a rune system where you would find the runes in the game, like random drops, which would insanely change your skills up. They would transform them into something else, and they would have different quality levels, and they would have different effects depending on what skills you had. It was basically Path of Exile's skill system. But they gave up. They just made that skill line where you have no choices to make. You just get the skills, and that's it. There's no skill build in that game. There's just an item build.
They said they're gonna have rune words back.
That's good. Hopefully, it will actually work.
Every couple of stutter for like, I don't know, have a minute or something.
It's happening in your case as well. Some words are dropping. I think Blizzard doesn't want us talking about this. Blizzard, is that you? Blizzard? I think they're listening.
Weird timeout from the Discord server. No, it's odd because I'm green connected, and I'm sure you're green connected as well.
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, it's green for me as well.
Mm-hmm. And I have proper connection to my Wi-Fi because I just got my internet fixed. So I don't know. I think it's down to Discord. I don't think it's our fault.
It probably has some issues right now. Who knows? But as we were saying, actually, what were we saying? Oh yeah, Diablo 4. Even if they will announce magnificent things about its mechanics, I have no guarantee that they won't back out of it again, like they did with the first time with Diablo 3, the first time they announced it. Because Diablo 3, when they announced it, it was going to be an amazing thing, and then they pulled out the skill runes and they put in the auction house. Bam. Also the PvP. Diablo 4 is going to have PvP now. Like from the get-go, there will be PvP zones where you can probably chop somebody's ear off. And that's something that Diablo 3 kept pushing back. If you can hear me, do you remember when they announced Diablo 3 was going to have PvP?
Oh no, I have no idea when they announced that.
It was when they announced the game.
And well, then, yeah, you're right. Whatever they announce, when they announce the game, is subject to change. You're right.
And they keep showing demos of the PvP. Look how it's going to be. You're going to have capture the flag, and they keep pushing it back and back and back and cutting it down until it just became a token thing that nobody uses.
That's right. You have a point there. So they are not to be trusted with development, with proper development of Diablo, to be sure. It looks like Path of Exile, so we might as well play that. That one's free as far as I know.
Oh, it's also gotten a lot of content, like tons of it.
I'm pretty sure. And we weren't, or at least I wasn't gonna purchase it anyway. Even though I gotta be honest, I was considering Warcraft 3 Reforged to get it for this solstice season, but not anymore. Fuck them. Which does mean that I opened up my Saturnalia self present for something else. So I'm gonna see what that is. Maybe Cyberpunk.
I've been hearing good things about Disco Elysium.
I have been hearing almost exclusively good things about Disco Elysium as well, but I do have quite a bit of a backlog to get through. So I don't have even if I were to have like a review key, I wouldn't get to it in any useful time. So most likely I'll get to Disco Elysium in like a year or so, which is kind of good for my channel because whenever I make a video about something popular, it gets buried because other larger channels are making videos about whatever the fuck's popular. So yeah, no. This is why I'm also sort of glad I don't yet have the Outer Worlds either, because even if I had it, there would be no use in me making videos about it.
I just finished encoding that video of the Outer Worlds like before we started recording this.
Cool.
Gotta say, the new machine rendered the video like it's a 46-minute video. It encoded it at a bitrate of around 40, I think, because it's in 60 frames a second. It did it in 27 minutes.
That's nice. Mine does it in basically equal time. It does it in time. So if it's 46, it takes 46 minutes.
So it's good.
It's definitely in my case, it's definitely better than at least 4 times as much. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I am glad I'm not there anymore. I can actually do like if it's in 30 frames a second, I can do it in a third of the time. Like if it's a half an hour video, it's done in 10 minutes max.
Yeah, but I haven't recorded in 30 frames ever since I've got the Ryzen. So I've only been recording in 60 FPS ever since. So yeah, you got a new computer. That's cool.
Yeah, I spent so much money. It's the most expensive thing I've ever bought. And mind you, I got new teeth this year.
Shit.
See, I used to have a hole here. I still have one here. Gotta get this fixed next year. But
that's good.
I can chew again.
Hey man, fixing your teeth is crucial.
Yeah.
To your quality of life. Like I remember when I had a massive tooth problem on one of the sides and only got it fixed very late. Like it was months, maybe a year.
That was one of my major mistakes. Like if I had acted sooner, I wouldn't have needed this.
That's true. And then when I noticed I could chew with my entire mouth, that was extraordinary. Because as you get used to stuff, you get used to various limitations. So I got used to just chewing on one side of my mouth because whatever. But then when I got it fixed, I was like, holy, this is the whole new world of chewing food and stuff. I could even eat more.
Oh, yes. That's probably going to be a disadvantage for me, though, because I don't exercise a lot.
You're gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to start using that thing again. Like last year when I got it, I did 100 kilometers on it like in a month. Nice. I've done 80 since the start of this year.
So one of the tricks I used to do back when I didn't go to the gym and I still wanted to work out when I was doing a lot of calisthenics at home was, and here's a geek tip for everyone. I was playing Hearthstone at the time, so in between turns, so I would just make my move, and up until the other guy moved, and I had a waiting time, I had a thinking time in between moves, I would do push-ups or something else, or or squats or something like that. Squats was easier because I could keep an eye on the screen as well and see what happened. So there's ways to
Mhm.
there's ways to keep fit and also game, but ideally you take some time off to just do the fit part, to do
Yeah.
the healthy stuff, and then you can do the gaming much better. Yes, and that will be one sort of series that I would like to do. I would like to talk about health and fitness on my channel, but I just don't think it's gonna have any sort of public for it. I don't know. I'm still struggling with increasing my subscriber count.
You could make a
And
secondary channel like Fit Geek or something.
I don't know about that, because that would just require way too much involvement. I would still like to have it on Steven Nonsense, because it would be related to gaming in general and that sort of stuff, like being a gamer or a geek and deadlifting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ideas I'm going for is I would like to name it something like uh, Dungeons and Deadlifts.
Ooh.
Or Deadlifts and Dragons, but those are kind of, I looked those up, and there's kind of like some Facebook, there's some websites that kind of work with the same thing. But I would like to do that, but I don't know if anyone's really interested. I mean, I'm pretty sure people are interested, but I don't think they're gonna find my videos. But we'll see. Maybe I'll try something next year.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully next year I may have some extra time if Zona decides to fire me, like it did with pretty much everybody else. Currently, I'm still there, still getting paid, which is not as much, but it's still fine. But if I do get more time next year, I do hope that we get a chance to do that thing we talked about on Twitter.
Yes. Hardly, or yeah. So we're not gonna mention it a lot. We're not gonna talk about it now, because we've talked about our plans previously, and nothing's come about it. But if we ever get close to it, we're gonna ask our you guys and girls who listen and watch to GameTales especially about something that a different type of collab, but the same thing, if that makes any sense. So what do you have coming up on your channel? Because I know there's going to be some fresh uploads on Gaming HD coming soon.
Well, I have one more video to do probably tomorrow morning, but I'm going to have 4 shows like in the next week. Well, this is one of them. It's going to be this. It's going to be a Rainbow Six Siege video about the new game mode they added, the Outer Worlds, and because it's free right now, Star Citizen, which runs amazing on an SSD. It's actually playable. It doesn't stutter every 5 seconds. I can actually do things in it. Like, for example, I parked my ship in the atmosphere of a planet and decided to get out of the chair. But as I did, I turned off the engine. Because I instead of pressing just exit, I pressed turn off engine and then exit. And the ship sort of went like this.
Are you not aware how atmospheres work?
Yeah, gravity is a thing.
Bitch. Yeah, because if a planet can have an atmosphere, it has a fucking gravity.
Also, I was curious if my ship had the life support, so I took off my helmet. I also had I was in space, and the door to space was open.
The door to space was open?
Yeah, and my character was fine. I didn't see any problems, and I walked outside and I was floating in space, and suddenly my character started going and just started going like this uncontrollably.
It's like that all of those space decompression death.
Yeah. I was just a corpse floating around my ship.
Frozen corpse. You're a frozen corpse.
Yeah.
But then when the sun shines, you're a really hot corpse. But then you're a frozen corpse again. So I don't know exactly how that works. I think eventually the core you would just crack. Like
probably.
Thermally you'd crack from the changes in temperature. I imagine. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But
so in the short term, that's going to be on the Gaming HD channel. On the long term, I'm not sure what else is going to be up. I have a better computer now. I can do like shows in rapid succession, but I still need to like dedicate an entire day to doing them. So maybe next week I'm gonna try and do some more and see what happens.
Don't calm your tits. Don't try to overdo it. Just make sure you put out some nice quality stuff.
Well, I still haven't adjusted to the daylight savings time, so I get up at 5 a.m. every morning.
Don't remind me of that. I'm looking forward to 2021 when we're abolishing that shit.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I did cable management because I couldn't do anything else because everybody was sleeping and I didn't want to wake them by making noise with the microphone and stuff. So I just cable managed the entire room.
Nice. That was useful.
I even use zip ties, like the Velcro ties because they're easier to take off.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I'm pretty sure everyone still listening will be happy to see some fresh Gaming HD updates.
Also, fun fact: the Outer Worlds video is 15 gigs, and my Google Drive account is 15 gigs, and half of it is already occupied. So it's gonna be a fun way figuring out how to send that to Raul.
See, like the problems of upgraded technology.
Yeah,
you start. This is why you sometimes need to invest further in other shit.
Yeah,
shit you
probably gonna need to get the cloud storage from RDS because it's like 50 gigs for 5 lei.
Oh, that totally get that. Then there's nothing. Fuck it. You can use it for other shit as well, but it's useful. As far as I'm concerned, on my channel, I've been having a lot of fun doing my Is It a Classic series. So in the Is It a Classic, I generally look at 10 and 20-year-old games and ask the question, is it a classic? I've done a couple up until now. I have several more planned. I don't know how many are gonna make it up until the end of the year, but I have a generous list of Is It a Classic. And coming up, hopefully this is released on Monday.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully it's released on Monday. So this week I will be talking about Stygian, Reign of the Old Ones.
Oh yeah.
Which is a very, very nice computer RPG.
It's based on the Call of Cthulhu role-playing system, which I have played, and it's amazing.
I talk about that because looking through the forums for some issues I was having, there were a lot of people who weren't expecting. They were expecting it to be more of a traditional sort of RPG where you can grind XP and money. Stygian isn't that. No. And for those of you interested in the older stuff or city builders, upcoming, like in the following weeks, I will be talking about Septera Core and Pharaoh and Cleopatra. And, well, we'll see what else. But so it's Stygian, Septera Core, and Pharaoh, and then possibly a couple of more newer games. And I think I'm going to end the year with the top 10 or like 2 top 10s. Because everyone's going to do that, and I'm going to do that as well. So it's probably going to be top 10 games of 2019 I played, because I play all of them. And I think I'm going to also make a top 10 of great stuff I watched, because I haven't done a nonsense cast in a while, but I have been watching shit. So maybe I'm going to do one of those and one of those. So yeah, Steven Hansen's channel is still going with the general combo of RPG, strategy, and city builders. Surprisingly, I have been my subscriber count has been going up steadily, which is a really nice sign. I'm very thankful for that. It's not it doesn't have any sort of exponential speed. It's not like, oh, it's 20, 40, 60. No, but it's keeping constant. I'm over 1730 at the moment, which, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago when I asked you to do the thing, I was just over 17. 100. So I got like 30 something in the intervening time. So that's cool for me. And hopefully people who watch here and haven't checked out my channel yet, go and check it out. Considerably less of me talking random news and politics on that one. But that's what GameTales is for. Well, that's not what GameTales is for. The BlizzCon episodes apparently turn into.
It's turned into this. It's freedom for Hong Kong.
Apparently, yes.
There. Now this is gonna get demonetized and flagged in China.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Yes. Oh yeah, because obviously China's we're big in China. I don't even think they have you. Do they have YouTube in there? They have their own. They have their own channel.
I'm not
They have
sure
their own platform. I'm not sure. It's definitely restricted anyway, so doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Do you have anything to add?
Oh, only that I have a really thin case that I put the Ryzen CPU in, so that when it goes over 3000 RPM, it rattles. So I'm gonna try to replace the case next year with an Obsidian 750D from Corsair. I'm not gonna use the Raid Max one because that one doesn't have front air filters, and it's a hellhole of dust in this area where I live. So sadly, that case is not usable.
I know about the dust as well, but yeah. By the way, this one's been, again, as per usual, always a pleasure having our GameTales chats. This one's been 2 hours, so if you want, you can split it.
Oh, it's only 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's fine. It'll be fine.
You'll see. You can always split it in pre-BlizzCon and the BlizzCon subject if you want to.
The pre-BlizzCon thing is like only 30 minutes. So, we'll see. We'll see how it works.
You'll see.
So that's pretty much it for this edition of GameTales. We'll see you someday soon again on GameTales.
Hopefully, maybe we can do another end of year sort of thing live stream. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
it was fun last year, so maybe this year as well.
We could summon Raul again and see if he comes alive and joins us.
We can schedule him to, like, motherfucker, just be available on this day.
We can just ask his wife, and she'll probably take care of it.
That could help.
So, goodbye, everybody.